Georgia, Georgia, Georgia. Well, Golden Blue Dude here with you again. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. This channel right here, this channel is home of at least one college football video every single day. And I'm standing here watching the end of the Georgia-Alabama game. And the fix is on. Yeah, the fix is on. Alabama's going to the playoffs. Georgia did what they were supposed to do. They laid down for the defending national champions, and they're going to go dancing into the playoffs with Alabama, and they'll probably have to play them again. So, good job, Georgia. You did what you're supposed to do. You laid down for the Tide, and it looks like the SEC will get 2 teams into the playoffs. So, you played your role very well, Georgia. Dominating team this year, but you did the right thing whenever it came to the SEC championship, and you laid down for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I guess it doesn't really bother you. You don't care about being the SEC champs as long as you get to the playoffs and have a shot to win the national championship. And, you know, bringing another SEC partner with you. You played your role well. Good job. Yeah, Alabama's going to the playoffs. Georgia was dominating this season. Dominating. And then Alabama was limping. Alabama limped into the SEC championship. They got beat by Texas A&M. Barely beat Arkansas. Barely beat LSU. Barely beat Florida. Barely beat Auburn. Struggled against Tennessee. And Georgia struggled with no one. The mental game. We're playing Bama. It doesn't matter how great of a team we had this year. We're playing Bama. Just a whole different animal, guys. I guess it really does matter who has the best quarterback, because, like I said in the preview video, that's the one thing that Alabama does have better. They have a better quarterback, and we saw that definitely matters, especially in this game. It definitely matters. I mean, that pick 6 by Stetson Bennett, I almost feel bad for Georgia fans whenever I watch that. Almost. But you know what? You played your part. You're still going to the playoffs. And now, of course, the rest of us have to see Alabama go to the playoffs as well. You got to think about the rest of us. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. They did not deserve to go to the playoffs this year, but you laid down for them. And lo and behold, Alabama's going to the playoffs again. Man, you couldn't have done the rest of us one favor. That's all I asked from you. One favor, and you couldn't do it. On a side note, Cincinnati. Hey, Cincinnati has an argument why they should be the #1 team in the nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Cincinnati has an argument as to why they should be the #1 team in the nation. Hey, they're undefeated, right? Look at what they've done, too. They've averaged 39.6 points per game. That's 8th in the nation. They've allowed 15.8 points per game. That's 3rd in the nation. They're no slouch. I know. Cupcake schedule, easy street, blah, blah, blah. They had a decent schedule. There was some gimme games in there, and style points were missing at times. But they did what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it. You can't say the same thing for Georgia. They did not do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it. Let's look at Cincinnati's schedule real quick. First game, Miami of Ohio, beat them 49-14. They go on to have a 6-6 season. Win against Murray State, 42-7. They went on to go 6-5. Win at Indiana, 38-24. Indiana, a bad 2-10, but Cincinnati did not see that coming. Then a win on the road against the top 10 Notre Dame, 24-13. That's Notre Dame's only loss. Still, they're 11-1. Then a win against Temple, 52-3. Temple went on to go 3-9. A win against UCF, 56-21. UCF 8-4 this year. A win at Navy, 27-20. Navy 3-8 this year. A win at Tulane, 31-12. Tulane 2-10, miserable. A win against Tulsa, 28-20. Tulsa 6-6. A win at South Florida, 45-28. A miserable 2-10. A win against SMU, 48-14. They finished 8-4. A win at East Carolina, 35-13. East Carolina finished 7-5. And then a win against number 21 Houston in the AAC Championship, 35-20. And of course, Houston finished the season 11-2. Yes, that's not the greatest schedule ever, but they did what they were supposed to do. They went undefeated. They really started clicking in the last 3 games of the season, and that's what matters. Georgia started unclicking in the last game of the season, the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do. So, yeah, I would make an argument that Cincinnati should be number 1 in the nation after tonight. Even if Michigan blows out Iowa, I would have Michigan at number 2. But as is, if Michigan wins, here's how I think it's going to pan out. Number 1 is going to be Alabama. Whether we like it or not, Alabama's going to be number 1. Not happy with that. I think Michigan will hold on to that 2 spot. Could be Georgia. Georgia, Michigan, that 2-3 spot, interchangeable. And then number 4 will stay the same, Cincinnati. So we'll have Alabama versus Cincinnati. And then Georgia versus Michigan, whether 1's 2 or 3 or 3 and 2, doesn't matter. It'll be Michigan and Georgia if the Wolverines can beat Iowa. Now, there's been chaos today, so the Hawkeyes could beat Michigan. And then that opens the door for Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not out of this yet. And it all hinges on that Michigan game. If Michigan loses to Iowa, Notre Dame has a little bit of an opening to where they could squeeze into the top 4. And I think with Alabama beating Georgia, that eliminates Baylor. That's the one sad thing. Earlier today, Baylor held on and beat Oklahoma State. There for a while, I thought they were going to blow out Oklahoma State. No, Oklahoma State grinded their way back into the game and inches away from winning that ball game, but they did lose. So they were eliminated. That was one obstacle that Notre Dame had to get over, and it was wiped out of the way. And Baylor, it gave them a glimmer of a hope, but then, you know what? Alabama beats Georgia, humiliates Georgia, whoops Georgia. So Baylor, I'm sorry, but your chances are gone. Now it's going to be between Michigan and Notre Dame. If Michigan wins, they're in. If Michigan loses, Notre Dame could sneak in. And so that's the game that's going to determine that last spot. Georgia's going, Alabama's going, Cincinnati's going. Now it's going to be up to Michigan whether they go or Notre Dame goes. Those are the last 2 teams. Those are the last 2 teams that are waiting on the invitation. And for Notre Dame, it's out of their hands. They've done everything. They've played all their games. They're not in the conference, so they don't have a conference championship. So they've done whatever they can. Yes, they lost to Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's a playoff team, so that's not a bad loss. It's out of your hands, Notre Dame. Your fate is in the hands of Michigan. Same with you, Michigan, but your fate is in your own hands. All you have to do, don't do like Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State lost, they're out. They have no chance. If you lose, you're out too, and in sneaks Notre Dame. And, you know, the only thing worse than Alabama sneaking their way in would be Alabama and Notre Dame sneaking their way in. You talk about, man, worst case scenario for college football fans this year was Alabama beating Georgia. That happened. And then let's say Michigan getting beat by Iowa and Notre Dame sneaks in. No, I don't want to see that at all. Because if Michigan loses, Alabama would be number 1, Georgia 2, Cincinnati would be 3, and Notre Dame would probably be 4. So you'd have an Alabama-Notre Dame matchup, and you'd also have a Cincinnati-Georgia matchup. And, of course, surprise, surprise, an all-SEC national championship, which is what the playoff committee wants anyways. They're not going to schedule Georgia and Alabama to play each other in the first round of the playoffs. Get that thought out of your head. That's not going to happen. What they want to happen is they want Georgia to beat whoever they're matched up with and Alabama to beat whoever they're matched up with, meet in the national championship, an SEC championship rematch. That's what everybody wants to see, right? That's what the nation wants to see. The playoff committee knows it all. They know what we're all thinking. They know what we want. We want to see an SEC rematch because something was off with Georgia and they need redemption. No, we don't. We don't want that. Did we not learn from the LSU-Alabama rematch fiasco? I hope so, because I don't want it. I don't want that. So hopefully, number 1, Michigan wins, because I don't want Notre Dame in. And number 2, somebody beat Georgia or somebody beat Alabama, because we don't want to see Georgia-Alabama matched up again for the national championship. Actually, my preference would be Alabama getting beat. I actually don't mind Georgia being in the national championship. At least that's a new team, a fresh team. Alabama, I'm sorry. We're sick of you. I know you're the head of the table. You're the cream of the crop of college football. Yes, we all know, but my gosh, you've made college football boring. College football is boring because of you. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I honestly think Alabama's going to be the new #1 team, whether we like it or not. Okay, that's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, I think Cincinnati does deserve to be #1 right now. It's not going to happen, but I think they deserve it. Y'all let me know in the comments section what you think of this fiasco of a day. My day is shot now because Alabama beat Georgia. So, thank you, Bama. Appreciate it. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.